right, welcome to TPaCK Explained Episode 3. I'm here with my colleague and good friend Brad Fuller. I'm Peter Einstein, and today we're going to continue on our journey of learning about TPaCK and what it can do for us as music teachers in the classroom. And today we're going to get stuck into it. If you would like to check out the other episodes, you can do so below in the description or use the YouTube algorithm. I'm sure I can help you there. But we've already recorded 2 episodes if you're coming in fresh today to episode 3. So Brad, hello, first of all.
Hello.
And the article by Voogt is what we've been looking at. And he's been, or Voogt, if depending on where you come from. I'm a Tamworthian, you're from Kempsey. I'm sure they're different. And he talks about people's beliefs about technology and that they're all different. And about halfway through the article, he mentions, whoa, I don't know what that was.
Me either.
The ghost, TPaCK ghost just said something to me. Stop talking.
Could people send us in what chord was that?
Yeah. That might even be the start of A Hard Day's Night right there.
It could, yeah.
How do you recreate it? Just drop something on your guitar.
Yeah.
Man, I was talking about TPaCK beliefs. So, I guess let's start there. What do you think technology means? What's the definition of technology, and what does this
Yeah.
article say about it?
This is really important, isn't it? Because today, I think, is all about uncovering this notion of what teachers believe and how that affects practice and what we can do about it. And so I think this is funny to start off with a beliefs thing with the phrase I think. So
Yeah,
who cares?
nice.
I think one of our big problems in music education at the moment is too many people saying I think and not being able to back it up. Jaco Pastorius, again, I think I quoted him recently, the great bassist, said, "It ain't bragging if you can back it up." So, if we're going to start saying things like, I think, well, how are you going to back it up? Well, based on what? And based on whom? So, that's where this article comes in, because we want to ground everything we do in the literature and stand on the shoulders of the giants. So, that being said, as they say in the hello to our US people, that's a very popular US phrase. It hasn't caught on here in Australia. Let's get the glasses on, Peter, shall we? And
Sounds good.
get into it. I'm going to hit a shortcut on my computer keyboard. So I had to go harder on my highlights. Ordinarily, I've got my yellow, red, blue, and up my sleeve green. So for this episode, because I've already highlighted my brains out, I thought we'd go for some green handwritten asterisks. So today, let's get right to the bottom of how do teachers' beliefs affect this sweet spot, the technological, pedagogical, content, knowledge area, that intersection between all of the things that we need to know about and be good at to be effective music educators. So, let's have a look at views on TK, Pete, which stands for technological knowledge. And
Yeah.
scrolling down, Polly, 2011, defined TK as knowledge about and use of specific hard and software. That's funny, hard and software.
I laughed at that as well. I'm glad you did.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. So knowledge about. So that I think that is consistent with what we've been talking about. So how much knowledge can we have about all of the hardware that's available to us in the world and all of the software, and furthermore about its use. Next one. However, stop the clock. Due to the rapid changes of technology, TK should be perceived as a dynamic knowledge domain. And I think this is where we can often get into trouble as educators, because historically, people have left university and said, well, I know how to teach now, or some people, and I don't need to keep up. And for a while, when technology wasn't changing as rapidly, perhaps we didn't have to, it wasn't as dynamic because you knew how to use the photocopier, and probably that made you pretty cool in your school. Uh, but even the photocopier is changing rapidly. And just watching the Olympics recently, Pete, did you see all of those Fuji ads?
Yeah, yeah,
They're talking about how the photo how the photocopier is going to revolutionise the world, but I don't think it's a photocopier anymore.
mm,
So, all right, so we've got knowledge that's dynamic knowledge and specific hardware. So, as the hardware and software changes, so should our knowledge of it. But then, perhaps also thinking about the way we use um, that technology, the software and the hardware. So, we pop down to the third asterisk. I think we get now to the crux of this part. TK Bauer et al. In 2010 says TK incorporates knowledge about how affordances of digital technologies relate to teaching and learning requirements. So now we're looking at the hard and softwares and we're saying to ourselves, what can this thing do? And
mm,
how does that help us to teach and learn what we need to teach and learn? Or does it even open up new avenues for teaching and learning about things that were hitherto unknown and undoable? So, affordances.
yeah. And I think stressing what can it do first, because I
Yep,
kind of like that simple question because it's without any baggage or
yep,
context to clamp things down. So potentially, like I'm just thinking that if you went, what can it do it in the classroom? You potentially just cordoning off a whole bunch of things that haven't been imagined yet.
that's
Um,
right.
versus
Yeah,
what can this do in the world, just generally,
yeah. And I
before you
think the
start to
reason I
apply it.
love, yeah, it's good. The reason I love affordances too, Pete, is that it takes that idea of what can it do, but what does it afford us the opportunity to do? Does that make sense? So it's this
Mm,
idea of the affordance of that piece of hardware and or software is that affords us the opportunity to do this thing that we want to do. And why do we want to do that? It's because well, from a philosophical position, we want to promote human flourishing in self and others. So the affordances, I think, are really important and such a great phrase that I think we should all meditate on. I try to keep it front of mind and think,
yeah,
what does affordances mean, and what does that mean for improving life? And I think picking up on that point you made about the classroom is that the classroom then isn't well, the classroom is dynamic as well. So that as the hard and softwares change and provide new affordances, so then should the classroom change.
mm,
And so
for sure.
it's not about, so this is the transformational nature now that we're talking about. So it's not about how can the technology help me to continue to do what music educators have done, but what are the affordances of this technology and how can that transform what we're doing in the classroom?
Yeah, that's great. And that kind of goes into the next asterisk you've got there, which talks about fitness, a concept that was born in 1999, capital FIT, lowercase ness, by the National Research Council, 1999, and adopted by Kohler and Mishra in '09. So 10 years took them to adopt this. But if we just read there, fitness requires person to understand information technology broadly enough to apply it productively at work and their everyday lives, to recognize when information technology can assist or impede the achievement of a goal, and to continually adapt to changes in information technology. So it's just emphasizing and stressing that stance that we are talking about in previous weeks, Brad, of being dynamic, and it's not definitely not a static thing. Your knowledge of TK, but also those environments that we're in.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I think we have and remember we talked about it's an orientation. So
Yeah.
where our
Yeah.
orientation is towards looking for affordances in the technology, staying abreast what's happening, what can they do for us, and then addressing our fluency with that technology so that we're fit and the classroom becomes a dynamic, really exciting place to be, I think.
Mm.
Cool.
Uh,
Yeah, so I think, Pete, that word fluency is a really beautiful word as well, and it's something that I'm trying to keep in front of mind as well. So that the when I've been in for those of us who've been in recording studios, watching people. I remember when Pro Tools came to the recording studio, and I would go to recording sessions and sit in the control room and watch these sound technicians operating Pro Tools and just going, holy moly. And to me, that's the epitome of fluency. That we could say, can you drop me in at bar 27? And they go. And I think, holy smokes. And then they would tidy it up and fix it and
yeah.
trim it and put some fade ins and fade outs and stuff. And I think, holy moly. And that sense of fluency is that the process goes away and it just seems seamless, and it just promotes productivity. So fluency, really important word, I think.
Yeah. Huge.
Uh, what about that thing there just before we go down to the next heading? Technology is not only a device, but also a process to solve problems. Don't we get caught up in music education about the thing? So either the hard or the software, and we're always thinking about we've got to bring these things in. But technology is not only
Yeah.
a device, but a process to solve problems. So
This.
it seems to me that we're talking about first comes the problem, and then we're thinking about the process, and then we bring the device.
Yeah. This reminded me of a framework. I guess as an aside, for those that don't know, I'm into running a lot and long distances. And so in ultra running space, there's a framework called ADAPT, all capitals. And it's because in ultra running, it's not like you just become like get fit and you aim for a pace and it happens. Along the way, there's heaps of different problems that occur. So it's much more of a complex environment, similar to this classroom that we're talking about. So they use this ADAPT framework to get through different problems, whether it's like food or you're tired or you break
Nice.
an ankle or something. So ADAPT stands for acknowledge, diagnose, analyze, plan, and take action.
Whoa.
And so I was thinking about that as I was reading this article. And then later in page 118, they actually talk about this
Yes.
in a different context and talks about they conceptualized. So this is Rogers, Nice et al.
Yep.
'09,
Yep.
following from 95 Rogers. They conceptualized five sequential stages to develop TPaCK: recognizing, accepting, adapting, exploring, and advancing.
Hmm. It's
I was
just
like,
long distance running.
yeah,
That's very interesting. All right, cool. Music education as a metaphor for long distance running, or the other way around, something like that. That's really cool. Pete tends to run at least twice as far as I do, but I'd like to think that I put in the same amount of effort. It's not about distance; it's about how hard it is.
it's true.
Uh, okay, now can we move on then? So
Yeah,
I think. All
yeah.
right, can we
So
move on to TPaCK and teacher beliefs, Pete?
that'd be great. So it talks about affordances and how it interacts with teacher beliefs. So up the top here, the authors argue that using activity types can help teachers to develop TPaCK.
Yeah,
And
that was
then
just back because Harris et al. Back in the other column there, they developed activity types, and I thought For somebody like us that we've been around technology and music education for, and both of those things, and that it's become a part of who we are, but not for everybody. And so when I've talked with my pre-service teachers at
Mm.
university, they say, "Oh boy, we didn't really have technology at our school, and I'm a bit concerned about how to get in." So I think this idea of activity types might be something for people that have been around technology for a long time. You might think, well, I think I'll just apply the technology to the problems. But activity types are a set of classroom activities and interactions that have characteristic roles for participants, rules, patterns, behaviours, recognizable material, and discursive practices related to them. And then they say that activity types can help teachers develop their TPaCK. So I thought perhaps we should have a look at some activity types, Pete,
Yeah, for sure.
uh, in future. Because
That's
those, I guess,
yeah,
sometimes, well, if you build it, they will come. And if you don't know what sort of activities you might do, then you might not think of them. So there you go, activity types.
all right.
Um,
So
which
there's
gets
a
us
there's a
into
lead into
beliefs.
another episode, hey?
Yeah. So uh, if we have a look down at the blue about Manfra and Hammond, 2006, teachers' decisions during lesson preparation and execution are based on their pedagogical beliefs about content and technology and not guided by the affordances of technology. So it seems
Mm.
to me that we need to do some work on our beliefs. Uh, so that's, wow, that's really interesting, isn't it? And which brings us back, Pete, to where we started today.
That's right.
Uh, what do I think? And so when we do our PD courses, we hear a lot of people do a lot of I thinkings. And so our goal with TPaCK Tuesdays is when we say I think, it's going to be grounded in our TPaCK studies rather than in smuggled in assumptions about technology or bad experiences or even good experiences or just experiences we've had. But
Mm.
bringing those experiences, bringing the research, and bringing a community of practices experiences together so that we can fashion um, more useful TPaCK, I think.
For sure.
So,
So yeah, let's keep pushing on these affordances and
yeah,
teacher beliefs. So all of the affordances of technology may easily support a learner-centered approach. Teachers tend to choose familiar, teacher-centered pedagogical solutions when they design online courses. I thought
right,
that was so true. We
yep,
like to be comfortable. We don't like to be in a situation that we don't have the perception of knowing everything about something.
yeah,
So it's easy. And it's easy because I felt I felt it as well. It's easy just to teach what you know and to not go out on a limb and into the unknown.
yeah, so true. Well, I think we're really close. So I think we got down to. Can we have a look at page 119, Pete?
Yeah, here we go.
So I think we're okay.
Yeah, I the last thing just before we finish up on this series, I think was something that I really liked was the craft approach,
Mm.
or craft knowledge approach.
Yep.
And so
Oh yeah. Nice.
I think this was in page. Is it here at the end?
I think we're down to 120.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, in red, you've got it in red, Brad.
Yeah. So I think I can
Um,
get us there, Pete. So
yeah.
if we look at that first one, if TPaCK is conceptualized as a knowledge base a teacher needs, there we go. It's a knowledge base. To effectively teach with technology, we need to better understand what that knowledge base is for specific subject domains. So we're music. So I think that directs our inquiries. So that's really exciting. This knowledge base should be developed for specific domains, and that consensus among scholars and practitioners should be sought. Should be sought. So that's another thing that we're trying to do with our TPaCK Tuesday is to bring other educators, music educators, into the conversation. And then so we get down to the red, craft knowledge. In their study about PCK, craft knowledge refers to teachers' accumulated wisdom, that's pretty cool, with respect to their teaching practice. It includes knowledge about pedagogy, students, subject matter, and the curriculum gained in formal schooling and practice, and beliefs teachers hold about these issues. Furthermore, we think that craft knowledge could be a useful concept for professional development strategies, aiming to develop TPaCK in they've said student teachers there, but let's just call us.
What's in brackets?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
If you're a student, okay, that's really cool. So if you're a student teacher, you're welcome, and if you're a teacher, you're welcome. So, what is that? Three episodes to get through a literature review. I
Yeah.
think we got the boat out of the water.
That's right. Yeah. So thanks for listening, guys. We'll probably see you in the future because no one's actually listening live. And so if you're listening to this in the future, feel free to get in touch and we can talk about this more. And from here, we've got a few ideas of where we take it, but essentially it's this craft approach, trying to build out each of the avenues that TPaCK have outlined through our technological knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and content knowledge. How does that sound, Brad?
Sounds like a lifelong learning pursuit. So,
Yeah.
class is off until next time.
Till next time.
Thanks, Pete.